Please welcome Frances Peterson. Thank you, Frances.
Thank you very much, Christine, and thank you, fellow platform workers. So Lorraine mentioned about beliefs, and something I've come to understand about beliefs is that a belief is just a thought we keep thinking. And eventually it becomes a belief because it becomes ingrained in our mind that that is truth for us. But we're here really to experience life through the ups and downs and through developing beliefs as we go. And we start to develop beliefs very early on in our lives, especially as young children. And I want to share a particular a quote from Lee Harris, who's an energy forecaster and who channels a group of higher entity beings called the Z's. And I was watching something that he was sharing about energy last night. And he said, the human being is the earth suit and the soul is the traveller. And he was saying in that talk that we are multidimensional, that we're not just what we see here. There are so many layers and different dimensions to who we are. So I'm not just the person standing in front of you and speaking. I am both, I'm a mother, a grandmother, I'm a sister, a friend. I am so many things that make me who I am. And I've always been passionate about what makes us tick. And when I went into healing back in 1999, and I discovered Reiki and discovered how powerful healing was, I wanted to understand also why we got sick. Why do we get ill? Why do we get sick? What creates the emotional turmoil that goes on within us? And I started to look at the mind-body connection and studied many different modalities that supported understanding where our emotions can create our illness. And over the last couple of years, I've been very drawn to helping our young people, our young teens, to navigate life, which is in absolute turmoil right now, especially with the pandemic that we've had to navigate, the isolation and the lockdowns. And being teens and going through the hormonal changes that they go through, they inevitably go through a time where they don't know who they are. Their sense of self-worth is very undermined, and the aspect of not understanding who they are compelled me to create a program that would support them to understand who they are on the soul level, because it is our soul that is, as we said, it's the traveller. It's decided to create this body, to come through this body, to have this particular face, to have the particular patterns that we will each individually have to navigate the lessons that we will learn as we navigate life here on this planet. And with this program, I do a reading for the parents to help them understand who their child is on the inside. So I do Chinese face and birth date readings. I look at the patterns of nature that are inherent within our features, which are unique to us, and also the patterns that are in our birth date. And with this particular program that I've created, I support the parent first, and then I support the child. And through that, I'm helping young teens to develop a sense of self-understanding, self-worth, and confidence. And when a teen comes to me, they're mostly at this point of time suffering from anxiety. And it is social anxiety. They're either going to school, they're going to high school, and they're experiencing, as we all have in our own lifetimes, navigated those times where we're unsure of ourselves, and children will break off into cliques and develop their own friendships and pull away, and we can feel a sense of isolation, and there's been a high incidence of suicidal thoughts and suicides at the most. So this is why I created this program. But what has come to me is that it's not just teens now that I'm supporting, it's the Generation Z. It's the children that were born from 1997 to 2012, and that awareness only just dropped in this morning. that this is a generation, and of course we've got a new generation, the Alpha, that are actually coming up after them. So how can we navigate our next generation of leaders, thought leaders, and those that are going to lead us into the future as we get older? And so we can't be having a generation that is feeling so isolated, which they are. I was drawn to looking at an article that a journalist wrote about the Generation Z and how they're feeling isolated. Even though we've got so much social media, so much digital connection, they're feeling isolated even still, being at home, choosing to stay at home more, not going out and maybe exploring social life as much as the generation before. And we all made mistakes. We probably drank a lot, and drugs started way back in the 60s. So it's compelled me to really understand that this Generation Z is really needing support. And I wrote down a few quotes last night to help support this talk that I've come to you not knowing what I'm going to say, but I know that Spirit's behind me because I know that Spirit guided me to whatever I looked up this morning. And there's a quote by William Shakespeare, so he's going way back. "It's a mistake to try to look too far ahead. The chain of destiny can only be grasped one link at a time." So even back then, the understanding is we don't really know what the future is, other than on a spiritual basis. We know that we're moving into a higher dimension of living. We're moving away from the 3D form of living that we've been living for 4,000 plus years, and we're moving into the 5D. And what's the 5D reality? That dimension, it's where we're coming more from the heart and melding the mind and the heart together. So for over 4,000 years, we've been living in a time where we've been conditioned and programmed to think and act a particular way. So I believe that self-esteem issues have been not going back by this generation, it's been going back generations. And if there's anything to be said for ancestral healing, what are we now learning to heal on a very deeper cellular level right now? What beliefs did our grandparents, our great-grandparents, and further up the line have of themselves? What fears did they experience through the many wars that we've had? So this is a time of great healing, and Dolores Cannon was someone else that I was watching on YouTube last night. I'm sure you might be familiar with her. She connected with ETs a number of years ago and told us about this new earth is coming. I think she might have thought it was coming sooner than it has, and it's still a way to go. But we, the 8 billion people that are on the planet right now, we're all here for a reason. And it only takes a small quantity of us to become more awakened and curious and with a desire to really know ourselves on a deep level that will make the change that will help propel us forward to that new earth, the new human that we're becoming, and to the new age of Aquarius, and this time of community and love and seeing each other more from the soul level than the actual physical level. I'm mindful of time, so I'm keeping my eye on there. There's another quote that I like. Prema Chodron said, "To be fully alive, fully human, and completely awake is to be continually thrown out of the nest." And isn't that right? Aren't we just thrown out of the nest right now in this time of, it is chaos. Many people that I observe or I listen to or I speak to are very aware of the energy of this time. And it can be very difficult for us to stay grounded and stay balanced in our own sense of well-being. And I think this is a time where we will realise that connection is going to be so important. And it's not just connection with others of like mind, it's not just connection with family or friends, it's a connection with our soul. Because if that's the case, that our soul is the traveller, and this human being, this human body, is just the vehicle that our soul is travelling in, I think we can start to lessen that sense of, I have to look right, I have to speak right, I have to be right. More that we come back to what gives us a sense of connection. So if you were to right now just close your eyes for a moment, and I want you to close your eyes and ask yourself and ask your soul, what colour are you? What colour is my soul? And just notice what colour drops into your mind. Because colour is very important. And I tend to choose a colour card for each day of the week that will inspire me. So today I've got some mauve on, which is about clear hearing. So I'm developing my clear hearing today. And I think you've got some mauve on here too, which is quite interesting. So just notice what colour that is. And if it's a little bit dull, what can you now do to turn up that colour, tone it up, to change the colour? Because the more you choose to develop that soul connection and that heart connection, and you do connect to your heart whenever you place your hand on your heart. It's just automatically there. And so choosing colours, for instance, might support you, but also what lights you up? What gives you a sense of joy? What activity helps you to connect with your soul? Because your soul doesn't really mind if you go through a challenging time. It's just here to learn and to grow and to develop. But here, if we connect with our soul and through the awareness that it's the daily activities that give us a sense of upliftment, such as reading a book that inspires you, or going outside into nature and just enjoying the beauty, or just singing, allowing your voice to sing, because your voice is very important. It is the direct connection to your soul. Or even allowing yourself to be hugged, just to be hugged by another person, or even to hug a pet, or feeling that tactile connection with another is so important for your soul as well. There's so many things that can give you a sense of joy or upliftment, and music obviously is one of them as well. And on the way here I was listening to a range of really loud, fast music, which is good for anxiety, just bear that in mind. And also I was listening to music that was calming and allowing me to bring my awareness back to my breath. And your breath, of course, is the vehicle, the life force that keeps you connected as well. So I'm going to find one last quote that will help finish this particular talk. And it's by Mary Oliver. And she says, "Tell me what it is you plan to do with your one wild and precious life." Thank you.
Thank you, Frances, very, very much. That was absolutely wonderful.